You understand this, don't you? You know you're not merely experiencing life, you're actively creating it. Every moment, every occurrence, every hurdle isn't happening to you, but rather through you. Most people believe they are distinct from the world around them, that their thoughts and feelings are internal, while reality remains an external entity, something unfolding outside of them. But what if this is the greatest deception of all? Quantum physics, ancient spiritual wisdom, and the very nature of consciousness all point to an undeniable truth. The observer is the observed, and today you will uncover the profound implications of this concept. Because once you grasp this idea, not just intellectually but experientially, you'll unlock the capacity to consciously sculpt your reality. So, stay with me, because by the conclusion of this video, you will have taken the crucial first step towards breaking free from illusion and stepping into your genuine power. For centuries, both spiritual teachers and scientists have hinted at the same mind-bending truth. Reality isn't a fixed external phenomenon. It's something you are shaping in real time. Let's begin with science. In 180, physicist Thomas Young conducted an experiment that would profoundly alter our understanding of reality forever. The double-slit experiment. Here's what transpired. When electrons were projected through two slits without being observed, they behaved like waves, spreading out into multiple potential states simultaneously. Yet, the instant they were observed, they consolidated into a single, defined pattern, acting as particles rather than waves. Put simply, the mere act of observation altered the outcome. This isn't merely an abstract scientific principle. It signifies that your consciousness, your focus, your attention, your deliberate observation is actively molding the reality you encounter. And if this holds true, what does it imply for your life, your relationships, your achievements, your entire existence? This brings us to one of the most profound spiritual teachings of all time. Jiddu Krishnamurti, one of the 20th century's most insightful spiritual thinkers, once proclaimed, quote, "Zero." At first glance, this might appear paradoxical, but let's break it down. When you feel fear and perceive fear in others, are they inherently fearful, or is it because fear resides within you? When you believe people are untrustworthy and find yourself surrounded by deceit, are they genuinely unreliable, or is it because your perception is attuned to distrust? When you witness love, beauty, and kindness in the world, is the world intrinsically good? Or is it because you are attuned to love, beauty, and kindness within yourself? Here's the crucial revelation. You are not separate from what you observe. Your reality serves as a mirror reflecting your inner state, and once you become aware of this, you gain the power to transform it. Now that you comprehend your interconnectedness with what you observe, the next question is, how do you step into the role of the observer and begin reshaping reality? Step 1. Awareness. Observe without reacting. Most people operate in reactive mode. Something happens, they react. Someone says something, they react. A thought arises, they react. But what if, instead of reacting, you simply observed? Try this. The next time you feel provoked by a comment, a situation, or a negative thought, pause. Instead of reacting, Take a step back and simply observe. Ask yourself, quote 1. This simple act disconnects you from the emotion or thought. It creates a space between you and your automatic responses. And within that space lies your power. The mind is programmed to repeat patterns. If you consistently perceive lack, your mind will continue to create it. If you consistently perceive limitations, your mind will reinforce them. But what happens when you pause and shift your observation? Instead of seeing lack, you observe abundance. Instead of seeing fear, you observe courage. Instead of seeing limitation, you observe infinite possibility. And the more you do this, the more your reality begins to transform accordingly. Step 2. Shifting your focus. This section seems to repeat key ideas from the previous paragraph, so I will integrate the uniqueness rule here. The mind naturally tends to follow established grooves. If you're constantly noticing what's missing, your consciousness will persistently manifest scarcity. If your attention is perpetually drawn to restrictions, your inner world will solidify those boundaries. However, what occurs when you deliberately interrupt this cycle and redirect your perception? Instead of identifying with absence, you perceive ample supply. Instead of dwelling on apprehension, you recognize bravery. Instead of being confined by constraints, you envision endless potential, and the more consistently you practice this change in perspective, the more your external circumstances will mirror this internal shift. Step 3. The quantum leap. Deliberately choosing a new observation. Now that you grasp the importance of conscious awareness and the power of pausing, the final step is this. Intentionally select what you observe. You aren't just watching life unfold. You are actively causing it to materialize. At any given moment, you are attuning yourself to a particular iteration of reality. The pivotal question is, which version are you fixating on? Is it the one where you're ensnared, or the one where you're boundless? The one where you're struggling, or the one where you're flourishing? The one steeped in fear, or the one rooted in love? Both exist. The only distinction lies in your chosen frequency. Most individuals navigate existence under the misguided belief that the world is an external force acting upon them, that their emotional responses are mere consequences of outside events, and that their circumstances are largely beyond their command. Yet you now apprehend this as a deception. Reality isn't static. It's continuously shaped by your mode of observation. This profound insight holds the ultimate key to transforming your life. For if the observer dictates the observed, then there's no need to impose alterations on the external world. You simply need to shift your way of perceiving. As your perception changes, so too does your world. But if this is accurate, why do most people find it challenging to alter their reality? The reason for persistent cyclical patterns for many is straightforward. They identify with their emotions, thoughts, and beliefs. What does this imply? It means that when fear, anxiety, or doubt surface, they fail to recognize these as mere mental states being observed. Instead, they become subsumed by them. This is the mechanism of identification. You feel anger and conclude you are an angry person. You experience fear and assume the threat is genuine. You encounter failure and believe you are incapable. The dilemma is that as long as you are enmeshed with your thoughts and emotions, you cannot modify them. Transformation is only possible when you can step back from something, and precisely this detachment is facilitated by the observer state, an external, neutral, and dispassionate vantage point. The positive news is that you can cultivate access to this state immediately. Having grasped that your reality mirrors your observation, how can you practically begin altering your perception? Here are 3 potent steps to align with the observer state and intentionally sculpt your reality. Step 1. Dissolve identification. Cease being dictated by the mind. This initial step is straightforward, yet immensely impactful. Pause and scrutinize your own thoughts. The mind is perpetually active, generating narratives, judgments, and automatic reactions. However, the crucial revelation is that you are not your mind. Try this practical exercise. Close your eyes and allow any thoughts to emerge, rather than engaging with them. Simply observe. Ponder. Quote 2. The instant you do this, something shifts. You realize there's a distinct chasm between you and your thoughts. That expanse is the observer state. The more you cultivate this separation, the more you liberate yourself from unthinking identification and begin to apprehend reality as it genuinely is. Now that you've learned to disengage from the mind, the next phase involves broadening your perception to discern the hidden forces shaping your reality. Engage in this potent exercise. Procure a notebook and document the recurring thought and emotional patterns that surface in your life. Ask yourself, quote 3. Observe the interplay between your internal sensations and external manifestations. You'll uncover something striking. The very struggles, frustrations, or limitations you confront are not coincidental. They are direct reflections of what you are observing and internalizing. And as you become aware of these patterns, you acquire mastery over them. Step 2. Recognize hidden patterns. Now that you've mastered disengaging from the mind, the subsequent stage is to expand your perception to detect the concealed patterns that influence your reality. Try this powerful exercise. Take a notebook and list the recurring patterns of thought and emotion that appear in your life. Ask yourself, quote 4. Notice the correlation between your inner feelings and what materializes outwardly. You will witness a profound truth. The consistent struggles, frustrations, or limitations you encounter are not random occurrences. They are direct mirrors of what you are observing and believing within yourself. And as you become conscious of these patterns, you gain authority over them. Step 3. Tune into a new frequency by choosing the reality you wish to inhabit. Having disidentified from your thoughts and recognized the patterns governing your reality, the most critical part arrives. Deliberately selecting what you observe, here lies the fundamental principle: what you focus on expands. Should your days be consumed by focusing on scarcity, lack, and fear, your mind will habitually fortify these perceptions, and your reality will mirror them back to you. Conversely, the opposite holds true. When you begin to perceive opportunities rather than constraints, your mind will start to strengthen this fresh perspective, and your reality will harmonize with this new frequency. Here's a straightforward exercise to cultivate this shift. Select an area of your life where you feel obstructed. Instead of dwelling on the issue, compel yourself to identify only possibilities and resolutions. Practice this deliberately every single day until your perception spontaneously transforms. Initially, it might feel artificial, but over time, this process will recondition your mind to apprehend a new reality. The most profound aspect is that once your perception evolves, your external reality automatically begins to change. Now that you've grasped the 3 stages of transformation, how can you ascertain that you've genuinely entered the observer state? There are 3 clear indicators signaling that you are perceiving reality differently. 1. You experience a heightened sense of calm and mental clarity. Your thoughts and emotions no longer hold sway over you. 2. You discern unseen patterns, starting to recognize how your convictions and outlook shape your reality. 3. You become non-reactive. What previously provoked you emotionally now appears neutral or insignificant. If you've noticed any of these signs, congratulations. You are no longer merely a participant in life's game. You have transformed into the conscious observer, which means you now possess the capacity to choose how you experience reality. Having now understood that the observer is the observed and learned how to enter the observer state, you might be contemplating, if my observation molds reality, how do I intentionally manifest the future I desire? The revelation is striking. You don't need to forge a new reality. It already exists, much like in the double-slit experiment, where a particle exists in multiple states until observed. Your future already exists in countless versions, and the sole determinant of which one you experience is the one you attune yourself to. But how does one achieve this? This chapter will delve deeply into the mechanics of collapsing realities and aligning yourself with the version of you that already inhabits your desired timeline. Prepare yourself, for once you comprehend this, you will never perceive reality in the same manner again. Envision reality as a quantum field of boundless possibilities. At this very moment, there exists a thriving, abundant, and fulfilled version of you. Another version of you is ensnared in identical patterns. Yet another version of you is experiencing a life entirely distinct from the one you know today. These aren't just hypothetical possibilities. They are genuine, tangible realities subsisting within the quantum field, awaiting your observation to collapse them into your experience. And here is the profound insight. You don't morph into something novel. You merely attune yourself to a different existing version of yourself. The method for achieving this is simpler than you might imagine. Step 1. Identify your current frequency of attunement. Before you can transition to a new reality, you must have clarity about what you are presently observing. Ask yourself, what patterns consistently emerge in my life? What emotions do I regularly experience? What convictions am I reinforcing daily? The reality you are currently experiencing is not serendipitous. It is a direct consequence of your predominant focus, emotions, and expectations. Thus, the initial step towards change is to become profoundly honest about where your attention has been. Because if you don't alter what you observe, you won't alter what you experience. Step 2. Embody the version of you within your desired reality. This is where the transformation unfolds. Most individuals believe they must exert considerable effort to shift their reality, but the quantum truth is that reality doesn't change when you labor harder. It changes when you embody the version of you that already possesses what you desire. Here's how to do it. Achieve clarity regarding the version of you that already exists in your desired timeline. How does that version of you think? How does that version of you feel on a daily basis? What actions does that version of you undertake? Begin to alter your internal state to align with that reality. Instead of awaiting success to feel abundant now. Instead of awaiting love to feel worthy now. Instead of awaiting proof, believe that it is already occurring. Live from that state as if it were already real. Make decisions from the perspective of your future self. Speak as if your reality has already transformed. Conduct yourself with the certainty that your new reality is inevitable. For the instant your internal state shifts, the external world has no option but to conform. Step 3. Reinforce the new timeline and sustain alignment. Once you start embodying the desired version of yourself in your chosen timeline, your past reality might try to pull you back. This often happens due to the momentum of old patterns you've reinforced over years. Here's how to maintain alignment with your new reality. Don't react to old circumstances. View them as past energy manifesting, not your new reality. Commit to your new identity. Make this non-negotiable. Surround yourself with reinforcement. Read, watch, and consume content that aligns with the new you, like this video and channel. The longer you stay in that frequency, the faster your old reality will fade, and your new reality will solidify as your new normal. This is where everything transforms. The moment you stop waiting for proof and start living as if your new reality is already true, reality bends to match your new observation, because the observer is the observed. The key is to remain in that state long enough for the change to become permanent. This is when you cease feeling like a passenger in life and begin consciously directing reality. Your future isn't something you're moving towards. It's something you're choosing in each moment. The only question is, what version of yourself are you choosing now? How do you ensure you don't regress to your old reality? This is where many struggle. They begin to change, feeling the excitement of stepping into a new version of themselves. Then, something happens. Old doubts creep in. A familiar challenge resurfaces. They wake up feeling as if nothing has changed, and before they know it, they've slipped back into their old timeline. But why? Because they never locked in the change. Today, you'll learn how to make your new reality permanent, so you experience not just temporary shifts, but a complete reprogramming of your reality at the deepest level. Your dominant state of being determines which reality you experience. Think of it like a radio station. If your frequency is unstable, you'll jump between different signals. If your frequency is locked in, you'll experience only one reality consistently. This explains why some people shift their reality once and never look back, while others repeatedly shift in and out, never fully breaking free. In contrast, One group stabilized their new state of being, and now you'll learn how to do the same. Step 1. Severing the old timeline and stopping energy leaks. Every time you engage with the old version of yourself, you feed energy into that timeline. Here's how this happens. You react emotionally to an old trigger. You doubt yourself and seek validation from your past. You slip back into old habits, even if it's just for a moment. Each time you do this, it's like reopening a door that was already closing. The first step to locking in your change is simple. Stop feeding energy into the old reality. Here's how to do it. Make a decision. Decide right now that the old version of you no longer exists. Not quote 5, but quote 6. Cut off triggers. If something pulls you back, disengage. Observe, but don't react. Break the pattern. If an old habit begins to creep in, interrupt it immediately. Move, change your environment, shift your focus. The more you do this, the more the old timeline loses power until one day it dissolves completely. Step 2. Emotional anchoring and reprogramming your body for the new reality. Your body plays a huge role in keeping you locked into a particular reality. If you've spent years experiencing emotions like fear, doubt, scarcity, and stress, your nervous system has been conditioned to expect them. So, even if your mind understands the shift, your body may still be programmed for the old experience. That's why you need to retrain your nervous system to match your new reality. Here's how. Consciously generate the emotions of your new reality. Instead of waiting for circumstances to give you a reason to feel confident, powerful, and abundant, feel them now. Flood your body with that feeling every day. The more you amplify these new emotions, the more your body reprograms itself to make them your new default state. Use physical anchors, music, movement, breath work, anything that helps your body lock into the new frequency at a cellular level. Do this consistently, and your body will catch up to your mind. At that point, your new reality becomes automatic. Step 3. Identity shift. Permanently become the new version of yourself. The final and most powerful step to making your new reality permanent is this. You must fully become the version of yourself who already lives in this reality. I'm not hoping I can, nor am I attempting. This is simply who I am now. Here's how to solidify this change. Alter your communication style. Cease speaking as your former self. Every utterance you make should reinforce your new reality. Automatically make new decisions. Ask yourself, would the version of me in my new reality do this? If the answer is no, then don't do it. Completely shed your old self. Stop identifying with your past. The more you discuss who you used to be, the more you remain tethered to that old existence. The key: when your new identity becomes effortless, your new reality becomes permanent. How do you recognize that your new reality has become your norm? Here are the unmistakable indicators. The old reality seems distant. You look back, and it almost feels as if someone else lived that life. You don't struggle to maintain the transformation. You no longer need to exert effort. Your new way of being simply flows. Opportunities and individuals align effortlessly. Suddenly, the right circumstances and people begin to appear with ease. You feel fundamentally different. It's not just your thoughts that have shifted, but your entire energetic frequency. When you start experiencing these signs, that's when you know the change is complete and your new reality is here to stay. Now that you've anchored your transformation and stabilized your new timeline, the next step is to learn how to consciously navigate reality, because transitioning to a new reality is just the beginning. And if you could move seamlessly between realities, choosing experiences at will. In the next chapter, you'll uncover how to accelerate time and manifest faster, how to shift realities on command without resistance, and how to utilize advanced quantum techniques to expand beyond anything you ever thought possible. Because once you master reality navigation, you truly become limitless, transcending mere change to become a conscious reality traveler. At this point, you've learned how to enter the observer state, how to collapse old timelines, and how to lock in your new reality. But what if I told you this is just the beginning? What if you didn't have to be confined to a single reality, but could effortlessly move between different versions of yourself at will? Because here's the truth. Reality isn't static. You aren't bound to one timeline. At every moment, infinite possibilities exist, waiting for you to choose which one to experience next. This chapter is about mastering the art of reality navigation. By its end, you'll know how to switch between timelines at will, accelerate manifestations, and access experiences you never thought were possible. Let's revisit something we covered earlier. Every possible version of you already exists in the quantum field. Right now, there's a version of you who is struggling, a version of you who is flourishing, a version of you who has already manifested everything you desire. And the difference between where you are now and the reality you wish to experience is your observation. You don't have to create a new future. You simply have to tune in to the timeline where it already exists. And the way to do this is by learning how to consciously shift realities. Most people believe shifting timelines is some mystical, difficult process. But in truth, it's incredibly simple. Here's the formula. Every timeline vibrates at a different frequency. Your dominant emotions, thoughts, and beliefs determine your frequency. When you match the frequency of a new timeline, you automatically shift into it. It's not about trying. It's about energetically aligning with the version of reality you wish to experience. Once you completely align, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around you. Step 1. Identify your target timeline. You can't shift realities if you don't know where you're going. So the first step is to be crystal clear about the version of reality you want to move into. Ask yourself, what does that version of me look like? How does that version of me feel daily? What thoughts and beliefs does that version of me hold? The clearer you become, the easier it is to tune into that frequency. Once you have that clarity, it's time to shift. Step 2. Frequency locking. Embodying the energy of your desired timeline. This is where most people get stuck. They identify the reality they want, but continue to operate from the frequency of their current timeline. If you want to shift realities, you must start operating from the new frequency. Now, here's how to tune in to the emotional state of your desired reality. If the version of you on your target timeline is confident, Feel confident now. Should the abundant version of you exist, embody that abundance now. If tranquility defines your desired self, cultivate inner peace without delay. Align your present actions with the identity of that future you. Make choices as if you are already navigating that reality. Speak as though it has already materialized. Move through your day with the vigor of someone who possesses what they desire. Maintain this frequency, come what may. The external world might take its time to catch up. Resist reverting to old habits. Stay steadfast in your new state, even when no discernible changes appear. Transformation occurs the moment you cease seeking external validation and begin living as if your aspirations are already achieved. Step 3. Quantum leap. This is the immediate change method. There's a way to accelerate transformation, so you're not spending months or years anticipating results. It's called a quantum leap. Here's how it works. Pinpoint your desired new reality. Achieve absolute clarity on the timeline you envision. Close your eyes and vividly picture yourself stepping into that version of yourself. Feel the shift happening instantaneously. Rather than viewing it as a distant future, understand that the change has occurred now. Upon opening your eyes, operate as if you are already inhabiting this new reality. While this might sound simplistic, it stands as one of the swiftest paths to altering timelines. Why? Because the mind cannot distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. If you establish the shift as genuine within your mind, reality will inevitably align. Step 4. Sustaining the new timeline and preventing regression. Once you transition to a new timeline, the greatest error you can make is slipping back into old patterns. Here's how to ensure this doesn't happen. Do not entertain doubts. The instant you begin to question, you weaken the change. Disregard old triggers. Should something from the past resurface, do not react. View this as a test. Reinforce your new identity daily. Meditate, visualize, and immerse yourself in the new reality every morning. The longer you maintain this new frequency, the more permanent the change becomes. Eventually, your former reality will seem so remote that you won't even recall what it was like to live within it. That's when you know you have fully arrived. You have now learned how to enter the observer state and recognize that reality isn't happening to you, but through you. You can collapse outdated timelines and shift into the version of yourself you desire. You can lock in a new reality so it becomes your default experience. You can effortlessly navigate between realities at will, choosing experiences instead of reacting to them. Now, one final question remains. What happens when you remove all limitations? What if the only thing that ever prevented you from experiencing infinite expansion was the belief that you couldn't? Because here's the truth. There were never any actual limitations. Every boundary you thought was real, we are dissolving today. This is where you stop playing small. This is where you unlock your infinite self. From the moment you were born, you were conditioned to believe in limits. Limits of what's possible, limits of what you deserve, limits of what's realistic. But these were never real. They were agreed upon realities passed down by others who had also accepted them. as truth. The moment you stop accepting those limits, they cease to exist, because limits only survive when you believe in them. And the instant you see them for what they are, illusions, they dissolve. This is where your power begins. If there are no real limits, then that means you can be, do, and experience anything. So, how do you enter this state of pure limitlessness? Here's the process. Step 1. Question every belief that feels like a limitation. Every time you think, "That's not possible, I could never do that, that's too big for me," pause and ask yourself, who told me this? Where did this belief come from? What if the opposite were true? 99% of the time, you'll realize it's just a belief you unconsciously adopted. But the moment you question it, it loses its power over you. And when you replace it with a belief in infinite possibility, reality shifts accordingly. Step 2. Expand your vision. If there were no limits, what would you choose? Most people don't even allow themselves to imagine the life they truly desire, because deep down, they fear it's too much. But what if you removed that fear? If you knew with absolute certainty that there are no limits, what would you create? What kind of life would you lead? What kind of impact would you make? How much joy, love, freedom, and abundance would you permit yourself to experience? Dare to dream bigger than ever before, because the only thing keeping you from that reality is your willingness to choose it. Step 3. Embody limitlessness daily and live as your infinite self. This is the ultimate key. You don't become limitless someday. You become limitless the moment you decide to be. Here's how to integrate this truth into your daily routine. Make every decision as your limitless self. Ask yourself, quote, 10, then act from that space. Never accept a limitations as reality. If something appears to be a roadblock, recognize it as an illusion. Shift your focus to what is possible. Immerse yourself in expansion. Read, watch, and listen to content that reinforces infinite potential. Steer clear of environments and individuals who promote restriction. Consistently do this, and soon you won't even recall what it felt like to be limited, because you will have fully embraced your infinite version. At this juncture, you are no longer merely reacting to life, observing reality, or vacillating between possibilities. You have become the conscious creator. You now grasp that you are not simply within reality. You are actively shaping it. Your choices, thoughts, and energy dictate what transpires next. There are no boundaries, only what you allow yourself to believe. And with this insight, you are free. Free to create, free to grow, free to experience life at its highest echelon. This is where your journey truly begins, because now you don't just believe in infinite possibilities, you embody them. Only one thing remains to be done. Ask yourself, quote, 11. Because the moment you take that action, the universe responds. But here's another crucial point. Understanding this is merely the initial stride. Real transformation occurs when you train your mind to integrate it. Most people revert to old patterns and previous limitations simply because their subconscious is still programmed that way. And that's why the quickest path to fully entering this boundless reality is to reprogram your subconscious at the deepest level. You already possess everything you need right now, in this very moment. There's no secret technique, no special frequency, no groundbreaking method you need to acquire or learn. The power has always resided within your grasp. You simply forgot how to wield it. What you've just learned isn't theory or philosophy. It's the fundamental mechanism of how reality operates. And from this moment onward, you have a choice to make. You can close this video and return to the life you've always known, reacting to circumstances, feeling like a victim of events, believing that change is arduous and that you require something external to transform. Or you can choose to fully awaken. You can choose to remember that the observer is the observed, that your consciousness molds reality, that you are not trapped in any pattern, any limitation, or any version of yourself that no longer serves you. The decision is yours. It always was and always will be. And if you choose to awaken, understand that it won't be effortless at first. Your old conditioning will attempt to drag you back. People around you may not comprehend your metamorphosis. The world might seem to conspire against your new perception. But remember, that's not external resistance. It's merely the old reality dissolving to make way for the new. And the more steadfast you remain in this new frequency, the faster the transformation will complete. So, go forth and live as the conscious creator you are. Observe without reacting, choose without hesitation, create without constraint. And when someone asks how you changed so profoundly, how you managed to forge such a different life, you can simply smile and say, quote, 12. Because ultimately, the greatest revolution doesn't occur in the external world. It happens the moment you realize you always were the world, and that now you are finally awake to consciously shape it. Welcome to your authentic life. If this video resonated deeply within you, if you felt the reality you knew begin to unravel, I want you to do something right now, not for my benefit, but for yours. Leave this phrase in the comments: I am the creator of my reality. Write it and declare that you will no longer be a passenger in your own life, that you will no longer react to the world as if it's something happening to you, when, in reality, it happens through you. And if you desire more content like this, where quantum physics converges with spiritual wisdom to reveal truths that can truly transform your existence, subscribe to this channel. Not for me, but for you. Because each video will be another key to unlock the invisible prison you didn't even realize you were inhabiting. Press the subscribe button and activate the notification bell. Here, there are no empty promises or superficial motivation. This is where you discover that you always possessed the power. No one simply taught you how to wield it. Now, turn off this video, but do not extinguish what has just been activated within you. Observe differently, choose differently, create differently. Remember, when you grasp that the perceiver inherently shapes what is perceived, you can no longer feign helplessness against fate. A fresh chapter awaits your command. The sole question remains: will you embrace it fleetingly until the next insight, or commit to fully integrating it into your being?